In the wake of Vice President Kamala Harris's recent electoral defeat, a wave of introspection has swept through the Democratic Party, igniting a fierce debate about the effectiveness of its current campaign strategies and the operatives behind them. As the party grapples with its future direction, former President Barack Obama's campaign alumni find themselves scrutinized under a critical lens, with some strategists questioning whether the Obama playbook has become outdated. Chris Kofinis, a Democratic strategist, did not mince words when he expressed his concerns about the role of seasoned operatives from Obama's era. "I'm sorry, I don't want a surgeon who keeps killing patients," Kofinis told NBC News. Reflecting a growing sentiment that the familiar tactics may no longer resonate with today's electorate. The strategists are particularly wary of the group of Obama-era advisors who were instrumental in recent campaigns for both Harris and former President Joe Biden, whose tenure has come under fire following a disappointing electoral outcome. The fallout from the Harris campaign has prompted key figures like DNC Finance Chair Chris Korge to openly critique the accountability of these veteran operatives. In a pointed interview, Korge highlighted a troubling trend: to blame Biden now is to shift the accountability from the people who lost the race, the consultants, the so-called gurus. He stressed the need for fresh perspectives in Democratic strategy, noting, "The old Obama playbook no longer works." This sentiment resonates with many within the party who feel that nostalgia for past successes is blinding them to the evolving political landscape. Strategist Mike Nellis acknowledged the party's longing for the Obama years, but emphasized that the political environment has changed dramatically in the last decade. "There's been a de-evolution of our politics over the last 10 years, and it's just a very different era," he said. This recognition of a shifting political climate is crucial, as younger voters, many of whom have little memory of Obama's presidency, are increasingly becoming the focal point of future campaigns. The tension within the party was further highlighted by Nebraska Democratic Party Chair Jane Kleeb, who shared her grassroots approach to addressing Republican attacks during a recent mayoral election. Kleeb recounted how her team eschewed traditional consulting routes, opting instead for an in-house brainstorming session to combat misinformation. "Let's throw out ideas on how we can push back on this," she said, emphasizing the importance of local and immediate tactics over established playbooks. Critics of the established operatives have also raised concerns about their entrenched positions within the party. David Hogg, a vice chair of the DNC, pointed out that these political operatives often cling to power for too long, stifling innovation and fresh ideas. For many of these younger people who are under the age of 20, they don't remember much of what Obama talked about, Hogg noted, suggesting that the disconnect between party leadership and the new generation of voters could hinder the Democrats' ability to connect with a rapidly changing electorate. As the Democratic Party seeks to redefine its identity in an era marked by polarization and evolving voter sentiments, the role of experienced strategists versus new voices will be pivotal. The recent discussions among former campaign aides, including appearances on platforms like Pod Save America, have sparked accusations of deflection and a lack of accountability for the election's outcomes. Moving forward, it is clear that the Democratic Party stands at a crossroads, tasked with embracing a new vision that resonates with a diverse voter base. The challenge will be to balance the wisdom of experienced operatives with the innovative ideas of a new generation eager to shape the future of the party. As these conversations unfold, the implications for the 2026 midterms and beyond will undoubtedly be significant, marking a critical juncture in the Democratic Party's journey to an escalating political drama that intertwines the fates of the United States and Poland. U.S. Republican lawmakers have voiced strong criticism of the European Commission's perceived inaction regarding the Polish presidential election. As Poles prepare for the second round of their election this Sunday, the Republicans argue that the EU is maintaining a double standard by failing to address what they describe as biased election financing favoring the centrist candidate Rafał Trzaskowski. The controversy has emerged amidst a tight race between Trzaskowski, the liberal mayor of Warsaw backed by the Civic Platform Party led by Prime Minister Donald Tusk, and Karol Nawrocki, a right-wing candidate from the populist Law and Justice Party PiS. In a letter addressed to European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, Brian Mast, chair of the U.S. House Committee on Foreign Affairs, expressed profound alarm over reports suggesting that the integrity of Poland's democratic processes is at risk. Mast's letter highlights a broader trend among Republicans who are increasingly aligning with right-wing populist movements in Europe. Recent interactions between U.S. officials and European far-right parties such as the Alternative for Germany underscore this shift. Notably, Naraki's visit to the Oval Office, where he reportedly received encouragement from former President Donald Trump, illustrates the transatlantic connections forming among right-wing factions. The allegations against Trzaskowski include claims of improper financing linked to a political advertising campaign run by an NGO which Mast alleges has ties to operatives from the U.S. Democratic Party. Polish authorities, specifically NASK, the state body responsible for countering online disinformation, noted that while they could not conclusively determine the funding's origin, the situation warranted further investigation. The Polish Digital Affairs Ministry has reported the case to national security agencies, while Meta, the parent company of Facebook, acknowledged that ads promoting Trzaskowski had expired before any action could be taken. In addition to these concerns, Mast pointed out that the Tusk government has withheld public campaign funding from PiS, citing prior Electoral Commission rulings against the party. This funding freeze has significant implications for Naraki's campaign, complicating his ability to compete effectively against his centrist rival. Critics argue that the European Commission's previous actions against Poland, particularly concerning rule of law violations under PiS's prior governance, create an impression of selective enforcement that undermines the EU's credibility as a guardian of democratic principles. The letter from U.S. lawmakers contends that the Commission's silence in the face of current electoral irregularities suggests a troubling inconsistency in its approach to democratic integrity. In response, a spokesperson for the European Commission maintained that the EU does not intervene in national electoral processes. However, they affirmed their commitment to ensuring free and fair elections, indicating that they are working closely with Polish authorities on rebuilding rule of law frameworks. As the Polish election approaches, the implications of this political tug-of-war will likely reverberate beyond national borders. The dynamics at play not only reflect the evolving nature of transatlantic relations but also underscore the complex interplay between domestic electoral politics and international scrutiny. As the situation develops, the outcomes could redefine the balance of power in both Poland and the broader European political landscape, setting the stage for new alliances and conflicts in the years to come. In a surprising turn of events, discussions have emerged within the Republican Party regarding the potential candidacy of Auburn University basketball coach Bruce Pearl for a Senate seat. As political dynamics shift and the 2026 elections draw closer, the idea of a high-profile sports figure entering the political arena has sparked intrigue among party members and observers alike. Rumors about Pearl's interest in a Senate run have gained traction following his successful tenure at Auburn, where he has not only elevated the basketball program but also cultivated a significant following. His appeal transcends the court, resonating with fans and constituents who appreciate his charisma and leadership. As one GOP strategist noted, Pearl's ability to connect with people is his strongest asset. In a political landscape that often feels disconnected, having someone like him could energize the base. Pearl's potential candidacy comes at a time when the Republican Party is actively seeking fresh faces to attract a broader demographic. His popularity in Alabama, combined with his background as a coach, a role that inherently requires strategic thinking and teamwork, could position him as a formidable candidate. Political insiders suggest that Pearl's entry could reshape the race, particularly in a state where sports culture is deeply embedded in the community. However, the conversation surrounding Pearl's possible Senate bid is not without its challenges. Critics point to his lack of political experience as a potential drawback. While Pearl has demonstrated his ability to lead and inspire young athletes, political campaigns require a different skill set, including policy knowledge and the navigation of complex legislative processes. As one political analyst cautioned, transitioning from coaching to politics is a leap. He'll need to show he can tackle the issues head-on if he decides to run. In the context of broader national issues, the Republican Party is grappling with various challenges including public health, economic recovery, and international relations. The recent announcement by U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to halt COVID-19 vaccine recommendations for healthy children and pregnant women has drawn significant backlash from medical professionals. Critics including Dr. Stephen Fleischman of the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists have voiced concerns that this decision could jeopardize public health, particularly for vulnerable populations. As the GOP navigates these contentious topics, the need for candidates who can effectively communicate and resonate with voters has never been more critical. In a related development, U.S. Senator Jerry Moran recently celebrated the groundbreaking of a new cancer center at the University of Kansas, emphasizing the importance of federal investment in healthcare. Moran's involvement showcases a commitment to addressing pressing health issues, a platform that resonates with many constituents. As the political landscape continues to evolve, candidates like Pearl will need to articulate clear, informed positions on such matters to gain traction among voters. As the possibility of Bruce Pearl entering the political fray looms, it remains to be seen how this will influence the GOP's strategies and voter engagement efforts. With the 2026 elections on the horizon, the Republican Party is at a crossroads, and the inclusion of unconventional candidates like Pearl could signal a shift in how political campaigns are conducted in the future. The coming months will reveal whether this speculation materializes into reality, and if so, how it might reshape the Senate landscape in Alabama and beyond. In a spirited announcement that could reshape the political landscape of Kentucky's 1st Congressional District, John Drew Williams has declared his candidacy for the U.S. House of Representatives. The Benton native, known for his community involvement, particularly as an organizer for the local Tater Day Festival, aims to bring a fresh voice to Washington, D.C. Rooted deeply in the working-class ethos, Williams promises to prioritize the concerns of everyday citizens, focusing on issues that resonate strongly in rural communities. Williams, running as a Democrat, envisions a campaign that underscores the importance of strengthening small towns and investing in rural health and infrastructure. "I'm running for Congress to make sure the people of Western Kentucky have someone who shows up, listens, and fights like hell for every person on every street," he asserted during his announcement. His commitment to community empowerment and government accountability reflects a growing movement among candidates seeking to directly address the needs of their constituents. The current holder of the seat, Republican James Comer Jr., will face Williams in an election set for November 3, 2026. Williams is no stranger to political contests. He previously ran for the Kentucky House of Representatives in 2018 but lost in the primary. His renewed efforts come at a time when the electorate in Kentucky is increasingly seeking representatives who genuinely reflect their interests and experiences. Williams's campaign is positioned against a backdrop of shifting political dynamics in the region. The 1st District, historically Republican-leaning, has seen a gradual increase in Democratic engagement, making this race particularly significant. As Williams rallies support, his focus on grassroots engagement and direct communication with voters could play a crucial role in his efforts to unseat Comer. As the political landscape evolves, Williams's bid represents a broader trend of local candidates stepping forward to challenge established incumbents, a phenomenon driven by a desire for representation that aligns closely with community needs and values. With the election cycle heating up, all eyes will be on Kentucky's 1st District to see if Williams can translate his community ties into electoral success. As he embarks on this journey, Williams's emphasis on accountability and community-driven solutions will likely resonate with voters looking for authentic representation in Congress. Moving forward, how he navigates the political landscape and connects with constituents will be pivotal in shaping the narrative of this race and possibly influencing the balance of power in Washington. In a pivotal decision that echoes through the halls of American governance, the Supreme Court has temporarily allowed the firing of independent labor board members by the president, a ruling that could reshape the landscape of regulatory Agency independence. On May 27, 2025, the court voted 6-3 to issue a stay that prevents Democratic members of the National Labor Relations Board (NLRB) and the Merit Systems Protection Board (MSPB) from continuing their duties while they contest their removal by President Trump. This decision raises significant questions about the extent of executive power over independent regulatory bodies and its implications for future governance. The court's ruling is notable not only for its immediate impact but also for the legal precedent it may establish. While the majority refrained from issuing a final judgment on the merits of the case, it suggested a willingness to uphold the president's authority to dismiss board members of independent regulatory agencies without cause. Citing the Constitution and previous rulings, including the 2020 case involving the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau (CFPB), the court stated, "The Constitution vests the executive power in the president. He may remove without cause executive officers who exercise that power on his behalf, subject to narrow exceptions recognized by our precedents." This assertion indicates a significant shift in the balance of power between the executive branch and independent agencies. The case at hand involves Kathy Harris, chair of the MSPB, and Gwyn Wilcox, an NLRB member, who argued that their removals were unlawful and could only occur for cause. Their lawsuits, alongside those of former Democratic FTC members and NCUA board members, are now under scrutiny as the court deliberates the legitimacy of their dismissals. The complexities of this legal landscape are further compounded by the court's distinction regarding the Federal Reserve Board, which it concluded cannot be dismissed in the same manner due to its unique structure and historical significance. Dissenting opinions from the court's liberal justices reflect deep concerns about the implications of this ruling. Justices Elena Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor, and Ketanji Brown Jackson argued that the majority's position undermines the long-standing principle of independence for regulatory bodies. They referenced the precedent set in Humphrey's Executor v. United States, which upheld the constitutionality of FERC's removals for FTC commissioners, positing that independent agencies should operate free from executive overreach. The dissent highlighted the potential for a fundamental shift in the legal framework governing independent agencies, warning that the majority's reasoning might erode protections that have historically safeguarded these entities from political pressures. As the debate continues, the ruling's implications for regulatory governance could be profound. By reinforcing the president's ability to remove board members without cause, the Supreme Court may inadvertently pave the way for more partisan influence over regulatory decisions, potentially hampering the effectiveness and impartiality that independent agencies are designed to uphold. This outcome raises further questions regarding the future of agency independence, particularly as more lawsuits emerge challenging the legitimacy of executive dismissals. In conclusion, the Supreme Court's ruling signals a critical juncture in the relationship between the executive branch and independent regulatory agencies. As the legal battles unfold, stakeholders from various sectors will be watching closely to understand how this decision may redefine the boundaries of executive authority and agency independence in the years to come. The ramifications could extend far beyond the immediate cases at hand, influencing the governance landscape in profound and lasting ways.